Welcome to Log It, episode 2. We're back. Thank you for those of you who listened last week to episode 1. My name is Caleb. I'm here again with my good friend Ian.
Hey guys, we're back. We're back.
Very exciting. We appreciate all of the kind words from people who did listen to the first one. It's really exciting to be going.
Yeah, shout out to everyone that took the time out of their days to check us out. Caleb and I we appreciate
Yeah,
it.
seriously. Even if you just skimmed through it, that's like super awesome.
Hey, we'll take it. We'll take a skim. We'll take a skim. No problem. Hey, I'll take a
I'll take a
skim.
skim. Yeah, I'll take a love the show and you didn't even watch it. Or listen,
Exactly.
I mean, I'll take it. I don't care.
Oh, bro,
I'll
dude, it was so good. Bro,
It's
that
so
show was
good.
good.
I'm not gonna push it. Like, I'm not gonna
No,
try to
no,
I'm
no,
not
no.
gonna stress test that. We are very excited to be back. We are recording today on actually May the 4th, so happy May the 4th day, be with you.
Yeah, May the 4th.
I'll date us a little bit when it comes out. This will come out a little later, but I'll probably watch some Star Wars stuff later. I gotta finish Andor. I'm on the finale.
So you didn't finish it.
I need to. I'm going to today though. It's perfect.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
And then we're gonna watch Rogue One, which Becca claims she doesn't remember ever watching.
What? Becca?
So this is episode 2. Ian,
Yeah.
another quick get to know you movie question
Yeah, I feel like
to
the
get
people don't really
started.
know us yet. Let's
Yeah, well, they know how you choose movies, which we still need to do that write up. Actually, I need to make a note of that and post that somewhere. That'll be good. That'll probably be on Instagram at some point. This week, I wanted to ask you about what snacks you like during movies, or if you even like
Mm,
snacks during movies. How do you feel about them in the theater, at home, the whole shebang?
right. This is a great question, Caleb. I my my snack ventures kind of ebb and flow, you know? I think right now I'm in a no snack zone. I go into the movie, no beverage, no snack. And I think that's because um these movies are 2.5 hours long or
Okay.
more, and I'm
Yeah.
not trying to miss a single thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I don't get popcorn. Popcorn doesn't agree with my stomach, so it's just better for everyone if I just don't
Yeah.
partake.
Yeah.
Um, and look, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's expensive, Caleb.
Everything.
Think it's expensive. So
Yeah.
we'll see. I think every now and then I'll get a cheeky little icy, maybe like a little Coke flavored Slurpee, and that'll be my treat, and that's fun, and that takes me through the whole movie.
Yeah.
Other than that, if anything, what I've been known to do is I would go get sandwiches. I would go to a little deli
uh,
and then go to the
did
movies,
you get the
and then
backpack? Did you pack it up nice?
exactly. Yes, I like the reference.
Thank you.
Um, yes. So I would get a couple sandwiches made for me, and I would sit in
Sneak
the
them
back
in?
row.
Were
I'd
you
sneak 'em.
crunching and crinkling in the
No,
back
no,
with the
no.
you gonna wrap it
No, no,
before
no.
and just
This is no, this but these were also like 12 o'clock PM movie viewings.
uh
Right. There's no one in the theater.
I
I
hope
can munch
so.
away. I'm not bothering anybody. Uh, I promise you, I'm not bothering anybody.
No,
It's
I
just me
believe
and my
you.
sandwiches.
I believe you.
But yeah, I think right now I'm kind of in a just no snacks for Ian. If I
Okay.
need a water, that's great. What about you? What are you on the snack front?
Appreciate that. Not as interesting as your movie choosing explanation, but appreciated nonetheless. I agree with the soda or the drinks and then the problem with long movies at the theater. And I always get a soda. Pretty much like Diet Coke is my only guarantee
Yeah.
going to the theater because I love popcorn.
Yeah.
A, it's super expensive. B, it always hurts my stomach, kind of like you were saying,
Exactly.
where I feel I just like kind of feel gross
It
after.
gets all over your fingers and your lips. It just dries you out. It
Hmm.
dries out your mouth, and then you have to take a sip of your Diet Coke, and then you have some more popcorn, you take a sip of your Diet Coke, and then 3 minutes later, your bladder's bursting, Caleb, you gotta use the restroom,
Yeah.
and you're in the middle of the movie. That does not work for me.
Yeah, and your stomach's just full of, like, butter and, like,
Mhm.
fiber, so I do love it, though, but I know it's gonna
It's
ruin so
fun.
Diet Coke is the best one because I get the caffeine rush, and I'm, like, kinda hyped for the
Uh-huh.
movie, but here's the deal, I also
What's
hate
up?
when other people eat popcorn at the theater. I don't understand why popcorn is a movie theater food because it's loud, and I
What would you want instead?
silent treats, anything silent.
Silent treats? What's that?
Grapes. Grapes
Grapes?
don't make noise.
You know what would be a good snack for
Grapes are
movies?
good
And
too.
grapes are good. A good snack, it's not a silent snack,
Okay.
which is something we should trademark, by the way.
Yeah.
But, like, crude like, carrots. I think carrot like, something
No,
that's like
that'd be
I
awful. I'd
no,
never go
no,
to the
no,
movies again.
'cause of the 2 snapping, 'cause of the
Oh, it'd be
snapping of carrots?
so loud. You'd hear people chewing it in their mouth. You'd still hear the crunching.
Okay, I take it back.
The people with popcorn, they're wrinkling the bag and they're
Yeah,
crunching
it's
it
like, "Shut
around. They're trying to get
up."
a big handful and everything is making noise and
Stuffing their
you're watching a
mouths.
$20 movie and you're
Mhm.
like, shouldn't I this should be the free option. You should have a
Right.
popcorn section and then the paid section.
I will say too, as you said before, when you and I went to the movies the last few times, I did get something, and I also think that's the FOMO. I see Caleb getting a Slurpee, and I'm like, I want one, you know. So
Oh yeah, oh
I
yeah.
think going to the movies with another person kind of almost forces your hand and makes you get one.
I'm more likely to get popcorn with a friend.
Oh, real quick,
Yeah.
last thing before we move on, if we even are moving on. Do you like to mix M&Ms in the popcorn? What are your thoughts on that?
Any kind of chocolate I like. The sweet and salty kind of
How
thing always
come
works.
why does that feel like a new revelation? Because I feel like I just heard about that, and I never did
Oh
that when I was
god.
younger, you know?
There was a '90s, early 2000s movie. Amanda Bynes, I think, goes to London and she starts to date the prince or something.
This is
In
Amanda
that
Bynes?
movie, I think it was Amanda Bynes or it was like Lindsay Lohan or something like that. Not
Mm.
Lindsay Lohan, I'm sorry,
Mhm.
Lizzie McGuire, whatever, Hilary Duff. And then but
Yes.
they do chocolate M&Ms, I think, and popcorn in that movie. So you didn't watch that movie. That's why it's news to you.
Interesting. That could be why.
Did you see that movie
I
actually?
mean, I don't know what
She's
you're
the
talking
Man in
about.
London or something like that?
Well, She's the Man is a different movie.
I know,
She's
but
in
it
college and
was
she's the man.
similar.
I don't know.
Um,
But yeah, and then yeah, again, my take is no snacks. They're too expensive. They're too oily. Also, what do you think about the theaters that serve food? Those are kind of like fancy theaters. You get a little menu, you get an order, and they bring you the food. I think that's almost worse.
yeah, so I've done that one time. I went to,
Me
um,
too.
the what's the theater that famously does it? The, Texas
Alamo Draft House.
Yes,
Yeah.
Alamo Drafthouse, thank you. I went to the
Mhm.
Alamo Drafthouse in Austin, and I liked
Wow.
it. It was a fun thing as, like, a novelty, um,
Definitely a fun thing as a novelty. Correct.
but if I was, like, going to a real movie I was excited about and, like, really wanted to
Mhm.
have a immersive experience in, it would bug me. I think
Yeah.
it's an which is funny because that's, I think, the theater that's also, like, super strict about cell phones, and
Yeah.
then there's, like oh, and then there's, like, waiters walking back and forth the whole movie talking to people, and you're like, "Wait, well, that's awful."
Right, right. It's not good for a movie you've never seen before,
Mm-mm.
you know? Like, you have to go see, Dumb and Dumber, they're doing a little showing of that,
Or if it's,
or,
like, a date or if you're, like, going with, like, a friend, you guys just wanna do
sure,
something
yeah.
fun,
I would
for
rather
sure.
I think my example's better where you go see Dumb and Dumber for, like, the 3rd or 4th time, and, uh
Okay, I think my example's better, so good
well,
for you.
I think more people are going to the Alamo Draft House to see Dumb and Dumber, but,
let's do a
Y
poll on
okay,
Instagram. Are you gonna
okay,
go to the
well
draft house for a
okay, are you
date
going to the
or
draft
for
house
Dumb
on
and
a
Dumber
date
2?
or to go see Dumb and Dumber? But yeah, I again, I don't know. If you ask me next month, Ian, what snack wise, where are you at? I might be like, I'm on a popcorn kick, and then
Yeah.
it just depends.
Well, maybe we'll check in. Maybe
Yeah,
that'll
let's
come
check
in.
in.
Um, that was I think a wide range and interesting conversation. So next, what we will do is talk about our last four. Let's get to the good stuff. Ian,
Yeah.
what are your last four on Letterboxd? By the way, this app, if you're not or this podcast, if you're not familiar, is centered around the social media movie tracking review sensation app Letterbox.
Mm,
One of the things on your profile is the last four, which are the last four movies you watched, or, and this is something we should talk about, you edited. So even if you edit a movie from a long time ago, like change the date or add a
mm.
review, it'll become one of your last four. And that almost affected my movies today.
Do you like that?
No, see, I was going to say, I'm going to do my last four I watched always.
Exactly. And Letterbox, if you're listening, go ahead and throw us a couple hats.
We'll wear them on the
Yeah,
podcast video that we don't post anywhere.
Caleb and I we're what you would call merchaholics.
Yeah, we love
So
merch.
yeah,
Good
throw us a couple
merch.
hats our way.
Some
Yeah.
good creators. Hats, and then we'll
What
post
else?
them on our Instagram, which is
Yeah, like
really,
check out my new hat. Thanks,
we've
Letterbox.
quadrupled our followers in the last week at
Yeah,
least.
exactly.
Um,
Um, did we introduce ourselves?
yeah, we did at the beginning.
Oh, good. Okay.
I'm Caleb and
Um,
you're Ian,
that's correct.
old friends.
Yeah, if for people that didn't know, Caleb and I were on a little league baseball team.
um, the Royals.
That's right, the Royals. What
Yep.
position did you play? Do you remember?
Back then, I have no idea. I'm probably just all over the place. I imagine they just kind of threw us out.
I bet both of us were just pulling grass, We're just out
Probably.
in the field pulling grass.
Oh yeah, probably.
Oh yeah.
Just
Anyway,
yeah.
so last four.
Yeah.
Do you wanna go or do you want me to go?
Yeah, you go. I'd love to hear
Okay,
yours.
cool. I watched Triangle of Sadness finally. This is the 2002 film direct directed by Ruben Östlund. He's a Swedish director, I believe. This movie was nominated for Best Picture, among other. I think it had a few other nominations as well as from this most recent Oscars. Can't wait to talk about this movie. I have a lot of thoughts. After that, I watched Galaxy Quest. This is a movie from
Nice.
1999, directed by Dean. How do you say this? Is it Parisot? Parisot? Regardless, I watched that movie.
I would guess Paraso.
Parisot, that sounds right. Galaxy Quest is Tim Allen. Tim Allen is in this movie.
Tim Allen underrated, deserves a little bit of a renaissance, in my opinion.
Can I say something really fast?
Please,
Oh my god.
Tim Uncle.
Tim Allen
uh,
was our fun uncle, was he not? Uh-huh.
yeah,
He was Santa Claus, Caleb. Come on.
and Santa,
Uh,
very good Santa.
I
Probably the
was
most
watching
iconic Santa of our era of growing up.
way better than that piece
I
of
can't even think
shite
of who else.
Coca-Cola Santa. You know that
Yeah,
guy?
no.
No. Tim Allen's my Santa. Anyway, and and
Yeah.
then and then rounding it off, I watched Psycho for the first time.
Oh, did
I'm
you?
seeing a little smirk on Caleb's face, and
Yeah.
I think I know why.
That's funny. We have 2 movies of the week this week
We
then.
do, yeah. Watch Psycho, 1960 film, 1960s
Awesome.
film,
Yep.
1960 film, directed by
60.
Alfred
Yeah.
60, directed by Alfred Hitchcock, and then finally we got Rushmore, 1998, directed by Wes Anderson, who just had a birthday. Caleb, I didn't know.
No, me neither. That's cool.
Yeah, just a couple days ago.
Yeah, our movie of the week, Rushmore, which
That's
Ian
correct.
recommended last week for us to watch. So
Mhm.
that would be coming up on mine. Awesome. Well, I'll do mine real quick. The last one I watched, or fourth last, the least
Mm.
recent was Murder Mystery 2. Um, that was 2023, directed by Jeremy Gerlich. There's not much to say about it. I do have a hot take, and this will be all I have to say about it, unless you have something. It's a good, fine movie. It's better than Glass Onion by far. Like, it's a murder mystery,
Wow.
not just like overall. Like, it's a better murder mystery that is like more fun to watch than
It's a little
Glass
more
Onion. I did not
straightforward,
like
I'm assuming.
Glass Onion. A little more straightforward. It's not trying to be as, clever and,
It's not overly
whoa.
written, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Well said. No, it's not. So
Um,
that's my hot take. But otherwise, just like a fine. If you like Adam Sandler and
it's an come on. Yeah, I heard I haven't seen these. I haven't actually ventured into the Adam Sandler Netflix universe. I haven't watched any
yeah.
of those movies. I heard the first Murder Mystery is funny, and I think that I like Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah, she's great. Adam Sandler's awesome. Like, he doesn't always make great movies, um, but like usually, if you, I don't know, it was fine. It's one of the better like
How
Netflix ones. Like, it's
right.
just a straightforward like couple comedy.
How is their chemistry? Pretty good? Off the
Yeah, it's
charts?
great. It's great.
Great.
Um,
That's what
yeah,
you
they're
need. That's
fun.
what you want, right?
And the first one's fun. Like, they're both
Mhm.
like, if you're just looking for a fun murder mystery, and just want something you can actually like engage with.
Okay, question. Is this one you would recommend that I add to my watch list?
No, no.
Okay.
This is if you're just like, it's you don't have anything to watch, you just want to put something that's kind of stupid and fun on, you don't have to pay too much attention to. It's perfect for that.
Right. That's how I felt about Galaxy Quest. It's kinda almost like a comfort blanket of a movie, right?
Yeah.
A little
Oh,
bit?
totally. And I don't know about
Mm.
you. I've seen that one so many times. That was like when I watched it growing up that it's just like,
So
yeah, it's great.
I haven't seen it since seeing it in the theaters in '99,
Jealous.
and, I don't know how I feel about it. Don't know how I feel about it.
Okay.
That's all I'll say.
Galaxy Quest.
Galaxy Quest, correct.
Okay, okay. I'll let you dig into it more if you want.
Okay.
I'll finish my 4 real quick.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm
No,
sorry.
no, no, you're good. Third, Banshees of Inisherin, from 2022, directed by Martin McDonough. The third was Rushmore, our movie of the week from 1998, Wes Anderson. My fourth, this was unplanned. I did not cheat.
Unplanned, everyone.
I don't look at Ian's letterbox. I watched Psycho from 1960, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. I love that movie.
I adored this movie.
Oh, it's so
Can we
good.
talk about that really fast?
Yeah, I was gonna say let's jump into Psycho because I'm like
Okay,
I actually just finished it before we started recording, so it's fresh on my brain.
great. I have never seen this movie before, Caleb. This is my first time seeing it.
Cool.
Yes,
What'd you think?
oh, I absolutely loved it. I It's kind of cool being able to watch a movie that's, like, such a cultural touchstone for the first time. I knew all the references, I kinda knew the ins and outs of the movie, but seeing it for the first time, I just I could really see, what other kind of horror movies now are kind of picking from it, if that makes sense.
Oh, totally.
It's so well created. This is the first, like, no spoilers movie. I was reading, in order to maintain the element of surprise, Hitchcock asked that the cast not reveal any details about the film's plot to the public.
It was like you said, it was the first movie that was like worried about spoilers. There was like a huge thing about the cast having NDAs and not being able to talk about it.
Right.
And back then, a movie was really sold on this high build star.
Mhm.
So he famously, spoilers, kills off Marion Crane early on in the movie, who was supposed to be the star of the film. He demanded that this was a movie that people would not be allowed to enter the theater after the
Mhm.
start of the movie. And
Right.
before this, movies would just play on a loop in the theater, and there would be no official start time. You just kind of show up, enter, and go sit down and watch the movie from whenever you got there, and you could just finish it from your start time.
And guess what? Other movie did the exact same thing where they have this high build actor and they kill them off in like the first 10 minutes.
Can I guess what
Well, yeah, sure.
you're asking me? Place Beyond the Pines is one off the top of my head. What were you thinking of?
Scream with Drew Barrymore.
Ah, totally, dude.
She was
Totally.
on the poster, you know, I think
Yep,
front and center, and she gets killed off.
in the first scene.
It's such a good, tactic, if you will. Really gets you going. No, but it's really cool seeing, again, just seeing a movie that you kind of know a lot about.
Yeah, I agree, and, like, one thing there's every now and then I'll watch a movie and I'll get this, like, real sad feeling of, like, I wish I coulda seen this in theaters with no clue
Mm,
of what was coming. I read that Hitchcock actually tried to buy up this is based on a book. He tried
yeah,
to buy all the copies of the book he could to hide the ending.
yeah, based on novel of the same name by Robert Bloch, and it was, inspired by the real life crimes of Ed Gein, who was also who was a serial killer. Um,
Which
also,
should be a fun book to read.
yeah, also Anthony Perkins, who plays, Norman Bates.
Yeah.
Is it just me, or does that guy sound and act like Andrew Garfield?
Interesting. Oh, I can totally see that.
Caleb, I was watching this movie and I could not unsee it. Just his mannerisms, the way he talks, it's very, very strange.
Actually, now that you say it, one thing I noticed watching this, actually every time I notice, and
How
I
many times have you seen it?
just as like an adult, like twice, I think, um, from start to finish. But I believe I
Okay.
watched. My dad would show us movie Hitchcock films when we were kids.
Same with
I
my
remember
mom.
what Birds scarred me, dude. Birds was
Yes.
so scary when I was a
My
kid.
mom, she showed me Rope, Rear
Oh wow,
Window.
yeah,
Hey,
that's
shout out to our parents. Didn't show me Psycho for good reasons.
I can see why.
This
Yeah, it's
movie
a
was
heavy. There's a
scary.
lot going on. Yeah, there's certain times I don't want to speak blaspheme of
Blaspheme.
Birds. Great movie. I love it. To me, the special effects are sometimes distracting. Like I understand for the time they were groundbreaking. I appreciate them, but
Right.
Psycho to me is like a perfect immersive experience. Like there's nothing in that movie that takes me out of it. Everything is perfect.
There's 3 parts in the movie. There's the first scene, the infamous shower scene. There's that.
Yeah.
There's a scene with a detective that gets stabbed, and then there's the final scene, or close to being final, where it's revealed that the mother is, dead, right? So those 3
Yeah.
scenes, those all have very, very 60s, like, um the takes are very slow, like the shots are very slow. It'll pan to the actress, no
Yes.
reaction, and then reaction. Like there's like a split second.
Yes.
But for whatever reason, like you said, like with Birds, for whatever reason, this film, it just doesn't take you out of it. You kind of feel it's still so compelling. That's due to the acting. The acting's phenomenal. The writing's awesome, and also it's very cool. This is totally off topic, but I just kind of like the idea of Marion Crane. She's not like a good person. She's having kind of a relationship with a divorcee. She steals money. Like she's
Mhm.
not, you know,
Perfect
a
protagonist.
perfect. Exactly. I
Yeah.
like that. I like that there's something a little nasty about this movie too. Regard,
Yeah.
you know,
And it's one of the scenes that surprised me the most, um, the first time I watched it. Because again, this is a movie so heavily referenced, so heavily,
right?
but when she's, driving away with the money, and, like, she sees the
Mm,
boss, and she has that monologue going where she's, like, hearing or it's
yeah,
not even a monologue, she's hearing all the people talking and all the
right.
and she's having this and it's cool, it was just really stressful, and, like, it's such a simple thing because it's just some, like, lady in front of, rear projection, I think. Did you know he filmed like 77 angles for the
I was
shower
gonna
scene?
say, even the shower scene, yeah, 70 angles took 7 days to film for a 45-second scene. I read too that for Psycho, it was originally shot in color, but then he after watching test footage of black and white, he thought it would add, like, essentially to the realism and horror of it.
Wow.
And that's why when I saw it, I was like, "Oh, this one of his first movies?" and it's not. This is, like,
No.
after Rear Window, this is after Vertigo, after The Birds,
Interesting.
but it yeah,
That's really interesting.
and then, yeah, we like this movie.
So good. Highly recommend. I mean, it's one of those movies where you know it's good and like no one needs to tell you that, but it really is worth there's a lot of value to it still, even with, its place.
Right.
Worth a revisit. One last thing on that I just wanted to say is one of the coolest things about the movie, there's something about Anthony Perkins' performance and the way he presents himself and is probably
Mhm.
like dressed. He feels incredibly modern or maybe even timeless.
Definitely.
It almost feels like a modern person, like, snuck into this old movie and is, like, messing with all these, like, old actors or characters who don't
In
understand, like,
comparison to all the other actors on this movie, yes, he does feel that's awesome that you said that.
very modern, like, he doesn't have any of, like, that air of acting. There was, like you said, a very theatrical, era of
Mhm.
acting and leaned into theatrics over realism, but his character always feels just incredibly grounded to me, and his performance is just, like, super like, he just feels like he's, like, more aware of things than the people around him in, like, a meta sense. It's really
Mhm.
a fun by far the best part of the movie is his performance to me. It's like chilling. One of my favorite villains, maybe my favorite like villain performance ever.
What a take, Caleb, that's awesome.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for. I'm glad we both watched that because I was.
That's
You
fun.
could probably tell I was excited to talk about it.
That was unsuspected, definitely.
Yeah, that was fun. Cool. Well, that was very fun. Thank you for sharing your last four. Unless there is another one of your four you wanted to touch on,
Caleb, I gotta know, buddy. I
yeah,
gotta know because you sent me a
please.
sneaky little text message,
Oh, yes.
and you got me all riled up because now I have
Yeah,
to know. I have to
yeah.
know. Caleb, what did you think of the band? The Banshees of Inisherin. What'd you think?
Yeah, this is a good week because there's a lot of other than, like, murder mystery, there's a lot all 3 of these were interesting. Okay, Banshees, I was very excited for.
Okay,
Martin McDonagh, or however you
McDonough,
say it,
right.
um,
In Bruges, 8
really
Billboards.
love In Bruges, which is a crowd favorite, and it should be.
I said
It's a
in
great
billboards.
movie.
8
In
billboards.
Billboards in Missouri,
8. Yeah. There's some
8
billboards.
8 psychopaths in
That was
Missouri,
his was that him or was that his brother? Was that him?
7 Psychopaths, I believe, was
Oh,
him. I
okay,
didn't know
right.
his brother made movies, actually.
He made a very good movie called Calvary, and it's in one of my top 4 movies. Uh, it's a great
Ever?
movie. It's, like, one of my favorite movies.
Wow, okay, watch list. Banshees, I really liked, and I really appreciated. It was a good movie and a really well made, well written, well acted, well shot, beautiful movie. I will never watch it again.
Oh, no.
It was
No.
devastating to me. I found it absolutely heart-wrenching. I was ready to laugh. The first half of the movie was really funny, and I was really into it, and then I just couldn't it affected me. I was really heartbroken for all these characters, and then okay, spoilers for Banshees if you haven't seen it, I'm gonna start talking about the ending right now, so pause it or
Mhm.
skip ahead. When he when his sister leaves him,
Yeah.
and then his donkey dies,
Awful.
and then his friend cuts off all his fingers
Bloody Stump.
and can't play viola anymore or violin.
Caleb, when he has the violin and he's with his band in
He's
the bar and
just waving it
he is
around.
waving his bloody stump. But here's the thing, Caleb, as sad as this movie is, I thought it
Uh,
was really funny.
so did my little brother. My little brother did not agree with my take, and I wanted to laugh. That's the thing. I was ready for just I love Colin Farrell and, Brendan Gleeson together. They're one of the
There's
best duos. Like I said, In Bruges, perfect,
amazing.
hilarious, touching, sad, sweet. Um, this one I really and maybe I think it's a credit to the movie because I cared a lot about these characters. I loved Colin Farrell in this.
So good. He's on a good run right now in terms of roles he's picking.
Yeah, what else has he done recently?
He did the Batman where
Oh,
he
right on.
played he was
Penguin,
under
awesome.
he was in The Lobster. Killing of
Good
the
one.
Sacred Deer, which is,
Didn't see
they're just
that
like
one.
they're just pretty challenging roles
Yeah,
for
that's
someone
true. They're solid. So he's
for
getting he
for
maybe he's
some
not underrated.
challenging roles for someone who played, Bullseye in, Daredevil. Uh,
Underrated.
uh, actually, we should talk about that one.
That'd be a fun one to maybe, yeah, it'll come up.
Yeah, but like you said, the movie itself is beautiful. It's
Yes.
Irish countryside,
Gorgeous.
rolling hills. It's really something to look at. It's nice to kinda just be washed in the beauty that is Ireland. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I guess I wasn't as disturbed. I mean, it is a slightly disturbing movie,
Yeah.
but yeah, for whatever reason, I think I found it a little bit I think it's like a black comedy. Um,
Definitely is. I think for me, it was more black than comedy, though, and,
that's fair.
but I'm not critici like, so there's hints. I'm not quite familiar enough with this history to say anything more than I recognized it being referenced in the film.
The
There's
Civil
hints.
War?
Yes, towards the
Yeah.
IRA and all,
Mhm.
all that horrible stuff, that was going on then.
Right.
And so I'm guessing this is some sort of parallel symbolic representation of that conflict of 2 friends who have no reason to really hate each other, just kind of deciding they're gonna fight. Um,
Classic Caleb is able to delve deep into the story where Ian is just like,
no.
I saw."
The thing is, I don't even know. I can just see something is there. I don't I'm not as smart enough to know, like, how to break it down. But at one point, the horrible policeman,
Oh,
dad
yes.
was
Mhm.
also another horrible. Oh, poor Dom. That was another horrible part of that sequence, how Dom's
Barry
just dead in the river.
Barry Keoghan is amazing in this film. He is one of our finest actors. He's absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
His scene with, Carrie Condon, where
Oh,
he's
man.
essentially professing his love to her and she lets him down
Mhm.
gently, that that's heart oh,
Well,
so
I gotta go
good,
do,
Caleb.
what I need to go do over there then.
Oh, man, he's
Oh
so
my god,
good.
dude. Devastated.
A genuine heartbreaking performance.
Well, and then die like, did he kill I don't know, just such a sad movie. Like, I see what I mean? Like, even just, like, everything I revisit, I can't help but be just
Alright, it is sad.
and I guess I just, like, really wanted them to be friends. Like, it just really broke my heart that they couldn't just, like, be nice
Is
to
it
me
because? Is it because you fear that's what's gonna happen between us? I'm gonna cut off all my
we
fingers.
are
Please
gonna
don't
be
set my
I'm
house
just
on
kidding.
fire, Caleb. Fun fact actually is that, the donkey is, the donkey in the film retired. The director,
Hmm.
Arden McDonough, paid for its retirement, so it's just hanging out in the beauty that is Ireland. Speaking of beauty, those sweaters, man, I can't get enough. I was reading a GQ article about those sweaters,
Yeah. What did they
and
say about
okay, did I read the article? No, I did not.
him?
This movie was nominated for costuming for this most recent Oscars, and should it have won? No, but I marked it down as my favorite because those sweaters, Caleb, those are some
Yeah,
good sweaters.
they look very cozy and
Yeah,
nice. Wait, so what did end up winning? Was it Black Panther?
I believe so. Yeah, I mean, definitely more elaborate than a nice woven Irish wool sweater. But what I will say again, yeah, I don't think I'll probably ever watch this movie again.
Yeah.
Um, but I think people should watch it. I was having dinner with I was having dinner with some friends, and one of them absolutely hated this movie. And it's a movie where it's kind of hard to defend, you know? Like if someone kind of it's a movie that gives people visceral reaction. So I
Yeah.
understand people not liking it. It's a hard movie to be like, "No, but the messaging," or but you know what I mean? It's very hard to, like I said, defend. So yeah, it's a movie that releases an emotion deep inside of you. I would recommend his other movies. I know Eight Billboards kind of has a bad reputation, kind of for its portrayal on sexual assault and police brutality. So that
Interesting.
yeah, that's
I
also
didn't
a
see
hard
it.
watch.
I didn't know that.
But In Bruges is also it's a great movie with Dominic Gleeson and Colin Farrell. They're a great.
Brendan Gleeson, I think.
Who did I say?
Dominic
Who's
Gleeson?
that?
I don't know.
That's just another person. Another Irish person.
Probably a great
Yes,
guy.
Brendan Gleeson. But yeah, I'm glad you watched it. I'm glad we're able to. Maybe we should.
This was a good last 4.
I thought so. I thought
There's a lot of really great movies to talk about here.
Galaxy Quest. Eh,
That's funny. So I won't even get into that, but I do like Galaxy Quest a lot. But I did grow up with it too, so it's like one that I've always loved.
I don't want to get into it, but there's only one part of the movie that was annoying, and it was like a big part of the movie. So I was just like, oh, okay.
Is it the by
It's the
Rathair's
aliens.
Hammer?
No, it's the aliens.
You didn't like Dwight as an alien?
He's in the movie for one scene. Also, it's funny how all the aliens are all like sitcom stars.
Yeah, now, and they
Like I
weren't
think
even at the time.
no, were they? I thought they were. I thought like some of them. I
Dwight wasn't
recognized a
on The
couple.
Office, that's
No,
for
I know
sure.
that, but I think some of them from were from like I mean I can't name the sitcom off the top of my head, but I just
They're all
recognize
like
them. Like, oh,
character
they're
actors,
like
or most of
exactly
them I
character
like know,
actors,
yes, for
right?
sure. Um, yeah, that's, um yeah, we'll save that one. We'll table it, and maybe it'll come up again. It probably will. But you picked a really fun movie this week that I enjoyed revisiting. I probably wouldn't have otherwise. Rushmore, our feature film of the week. If you watched it after listening last week, that's awesome. Thank you. Maybe this will be fun to follow along with. Hopefully. Hello, dearest viewer. This is Caleb checking in. Thank you for listening to the podcast up until this point. I had a quick note. From here on out, my microphone will be poor quality. I stopped at this point to use the restroom and unplugged my microphone in the act. And when I returned, I did not set it up correctly again. So, if you are offended by bad audio as I am, please feel free to skip this and join us again next Tuesday for a new episode with good audio quality. If you choose to continue, thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the show. Bye now. All righty, and I think it is about
Yeah.
time. We've been blabbing enough. Let's get to the good stuff. The important one, Rushmore by Wes Anderson, 1998. Your pick for the movie this week. So let's start with your thoughts.
Oh, I absolutely love this movie. I think on a given day, this might be my number one of his. This might be my number one. Um,
I think you're going all time. I was
well,
my eyes
no, 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 no,
were wide.
no, not all time. It's up there though. It's up there.
I wouldn't judge.
Well, your eyes bugged out.
It's not a bad pick.
Oh, sure.
Well, it's a surprise. It's hard to pick a number one at all.
Number one's Casablanca, of course.
Is it really?
No, but it's a great movie too. It's just
It is a great
but
movie.
no, I haven't seen this movie in a while, and I rented it from the library because it wasn't on any streaming services. And hey, shout out to libraries. You know, they have a great catalog. They have a lot of Criterion movies. If you're ever in a pinch and you want to watch a movie, go to your library. They have it most likely. Might be there. But yeah, so I picked this movie. I wanted to watch it, and I wanted to talk about it. So that's why we're here, Caleb. Do you remember? Because this is a thing now that I'm realizing is that if I don't log it,
Yeah.
I don't remember when I've seen it, like the last time I've seen it, or like I have like a memory about it. And that's the same with this. I don't remember the first time I've seen this movie. I don't remember besides when I just watched it. Before that, I don't remember the last time I watched it. But I do remember the movie. I have a lot of good memories attached to this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's up there for me in terms of my boy WA. What about you? What are your thoughts on this
Yeah.
movie?
first time I've watched it in a
Mm,
while. Um, I don't believe I logged the last time. I'd have to look.
okay.
I don't think I did. I think it's been quite a while. So my little background on my relationship with Wes Anderson. I have grown quite tired of his movies over the years, but he was very important. He hit at a very pivotal movie point in my life, so he does have a very soft
This
spot.
movie, I feel like early Wes Anderson, has a lot of nostalgia pull for me. Like, probably his first 4 movies, I think I just have there's a strong sense of nostalgia that comes out of me when I watch them, and it's funny that you say that because this doesn't feel I mean, it is a Wes Anderson movie in that, like, from the soundtrack to just
Mhm.
the stylized way of directing, but at the same time, it doesn't dialogue.
Dialogue is pretty Wes
But at the
Anderson.
same time, it doesn't feel like one in comparison to his last few movies. Um, like it's a very like it's almost like a low key movie, like a low key visual movie in comparison to his later ones. And I
Yes,
think that it's refreshing. Uh, uh, it's a refreshing watch.
yeah,
Like there's no like elaborate set design going on. It's all, based in kind of like based in reality almost.
much more grounded than his future work.
Mhm.
When you recommended this last week, I was actually a little like, oh man, okay, because I was
Oh,
worried I
interesting.
wouldn't like it rewatching it. I was afraid of when I revisited it. It was a good recommendation. Not challenging that. It was more just like, okay, I have to confront this because I
W Were you like, "Here comes Ian with a normie pick, freaking Rushmore?
no,
What
no, it
the"
was more like, oh no, I'm gonna revisit this. It's a special movie to me because I think I watched it for the first time when I was like probably like
Mm,
13, maybe 12. And so it was just like at that point where I was like, I knew I loved movies, but I didn't know anything about movies.
yeah.
And so revisiting it, I was afraid it would bug me. I was afraid his Wes Andersonisms are so kind of cliche almost at this point that it would ripple backwards in time and affect my viewing of
I
Rushmore
agree,
now.
but after watching it, I realized what a well-balanced movie it was. It was a good mixture of, like, classic Wes Anderson twee, like, it's a little innocent, but, uh there is, like, a sense of nastiness in the movie, especially with a lot of the characters, especially with Max Fisher, the main character, who's a complete sociopath,
Yeah,
um
not a good guy.
but it's all, like, draped in, like, a boys' Catholic school, like, aesthetic. So, it's I think
Yeah,
it's a nice balance between the 2, like, it does have, um, kind of like, yeah, the cuteness of Wes Anderson, but also the abiding dialogue between all the characters. Like, the amount of times they say hand job, I think it might be in the double digits, and
yeah.
I kinda forgot about that, like like like, almost a a B plot, a subplot of the movie is, Max Fisher like, trying to get a hand job in the back of a convertible, which I
Well, he doesn't even
he doesn't
try.
he
He
just
just
tells
tells
yeah,
somebody
yeah,
he
yeah, he
got one,
just
right?
tells
It's
you.
just he's just like bragging in a
I just
weird
like that
moment
that's like a thread
of like
it's
him
just kind of a
feeling.
thread throughout the whole movie. It's just
Oh,
it's
it's
great.
so funny.
Um,
Um, yeah. So I totally agree. So I was pleasantly surprised revisiting it. That it was this. It felt very nostalgic in that it was this early kind of like indie movie before indie movies had been like hit with the stamp of like Wes
well, I mean,
Andersonism.
this is his 2nd movie, so, like, there really isn't and his first movie, Bottle Rocket, didn't get the recognition that Rushmore did. Like, I don't believe it was put out by a major studio. This was put out by, I forgot the studio, but it was like a subsidiary of Disney. So it had probably had a pretty big release.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised how much I enjoyed it, and that it was funny. There's kind of it reminded me of this time that I'd forgotten of, where when I watched Rushmore initially, I think at that point, Life Aquatic was also out,
Mm.
which is
my personal favorite Wes Anderson movie.
I could go that way too as well. Yeah.
And it's definitely more into like his like highbrow, not highbrow, but like his aesthetic being much more in your face, and the much more like the realism starts to fade and the Wes Andersonism starts to take the main
That's where you see the
stage.
Wes Anderson set design. I feel like that movie, because that's right after Royal Tenenbaums, or not right after, but afterwards.
I forgot how Wes Anderson, when he was back at this point, was much more of like a tongue in cheek, almost like not satirical, but there was much more of like
Oh,
a
interesting.
yeah, and just like it reminded me of Napoleon Dynamite, where it's kind of like quirky, and sometimes like Jared Hess will do this thing where people are like highly aware of the drama of the film almost, and the characters are leaning in to what the film is like
Mm.
presenting in a way that they wouldn't if you were being super realistic. The character in the film wouldn't act that way. It's only because they're in a film that they're acting that way. Where that this has that like the his sidekick or
Dirk,
yes,
such a cute kid. Yeah.
like everything with Dirk reminded me of Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh,
There was something
interesting.
about just like the way he was like so serious and like acting like an adult. It was like clearly like a joke that this kid is like acting beyond his years. Like it's cute seeing a kid act like an
He's the
adult.
adult ward of Max Fisher, who is just like a very insecure, like he has no right having someone essentially being under him. It should be reversed, you know. Uh,
Yeah, and so good point you brought up. We didn't actually do the synopsis. Do you want to kind of give an idea of just what the basic idea of this
Yeah.
movie is?
So essentially, Rushmore. It's a 1998. It's like a coming of age film, I would say, directed by Wes Anderson, co-written by Wes Anderson and Owen Wilson. And the movie follows the story of Max Fisher, played by Jason Schwartzman, who this is his debut role. This is his first movie. And Max Fisher is kind of just like quirky. He's ambitious, and he goes to a. It's essentially like an all boys academy. It's called Rushmore, and there at Rushmore, Max is someone who would rather he's more involved in extracurricular activities, more active in the clubs than say like just the academic side of school. And he's in danger of being expelled. And there he meets a teacher who he falls in love with. At the same time, um, he meets a character named Herman Bloom, who kind of becomes like a mentor figure, and then that becomes their and thus ensues a a what am I trying to say? A love
A
triangle.
love
Thank
triangle
you,
of
a love
sorts.
triangle, Caleb. Love
Love
triangle.
triangle.
It's just a yeah. It's. I would say it's a coming of age movie. Caleb, how was that description? Does that make you want to see it even more after I butchered it?
That
Okay.
was great.
Uh, it's a crazy movie. Yeah, like I said, Jason Schwartzman debut role. Um, Wes Anderson met him at a party I believe, thrown by Sofia Coppola,
Hmm.
who is Jason
Of
Schwartzman's
course.
cousin, and he cast him. And I also read that
Yep.
Macaulay Culkin was also considered, which I don't know if I would like that as much. Yeah,
Wow. No, I think this was a perfect Jason
very
Schwartzman
good.
role. I was very surprised at how much I liked him still. Like his performance really holds up well. He's also so
He's
young. I remember
15.
watching when I was a kid and feeling like he was
I
really
believe
old.
he's either
Yeah,
15 or 17.
wait, as an
Yeah,
actor, he was
I
actually
believe so,
15.
15 or 17.
Wow, that's
So he's a
crazy.
child in this movie.
That's crazy.
Um,
So awesome.
and he
Great
definitely
performance. I
yeah, he
loved
definitely
him.
portrays a 15-year-old. Like there's almost like no acting to it. This just feels like
Kind of his
like
vibe.
I guess method acting. Like he's just immersed himself in the role because he is the role. Um, but yeah,
um, yeah, yeah. I enjoyed it, and like you said, it was nice going back to Wes Anderson before he had gone full Wes
yeah,
Anderson.
right.
No, and I will say too, I appreciate Wes Anderson as a filmmaker. Like I appreciate that he's created his own like style. Like he will, like, but I also am tired of it, and I don't necessarily get super excited about his. I haven't seen the last one he made
Mm,
still. But the new one looks fun.
right.
Rocket City,
Asteroid City.
Asteroid City.
So Jason Schwartzman, first role. Bill Murray's in this movie, Caleb, and this might be my favorite Bill Murray performance. Um,
Okay,
I I say that now, but who knows? Actually,
I'd have to think about. He's so many great roles that I'd have to look at his IMDb.
he's so good in this movie. I was reading that he I guess he really enjoyed Rushmore. He enjoyed that movie a lot. He wanted to work with Owen and Wes, so he agreed to join this movie on scale. He got paid minimum wage for this movie, so he could be a part of it, which I thought was really really cool.
In the movie, there is a helicopter scene. Is that correct? With his play, there's a helicopter that actually drops down from the ceiling, I believe.
I believe that's in the final scene when they're doing like the Vietnam play. Yeah, I believe that's right. Yeah.
Yes. Wait, and is there a helicopter in Bottle
Good
Rocket?
question. I
There
don't think
isn't,
so. No,
right? There's
there's a
nothing like that.
helicopter in Life Aquatic, I believe. I think.
Life Aquatic. Yes, there is Life Aquatic as well. So I think on Rushmore, now I'm starting to doubt my
Mm.
fact, but I'm fairly certain I remember this from the special features that I watched back when I watched this in the day. Bill Murray actually just paid out of his pocket for the helicopter in the finale.
Yeah, I know that this movie was supposed to be made with New Line, but they couldn't agree on a budget. So they went to Disney and it was Touchstone Pictures. So that's who released the movie.
Touchstone.
Um
Okay, cool. Interesting. So Disney, oh man, another Disney project.
yeah,
They're
yeah.
everywhere, man.
What else can we say about this movie, Caleb? What else can we say about this movie? Another thing I loved about this movie,
Yeah,
this soundtrack is amazing. It has probably 3 of my favorite needle drops in recent history. So let me list off some of
what three?
some of these artists, right? So first off, you have Mark Mothersbaugh, who has worked with Wes on Bottle Rocket and has kind of been his his go-to guy
Yeah,
of Devo fame. If you're a Devo fan,
and he really deserves some credit for the Wes Anderson aesthetic because the music is the soundtracks are critical.
he sculpted the world. So originally this soundtrack was just gonna be the Kinks. He kind of wanted to have like a British invasion like soundtrack. I think of just the band Kinks,
Cool,
but instead I think he roped some other songs in, which I think actually works in its favor. So you got Making Time by The Creation. That's the first needle drop. That's when it comes in at the montage showing Max Fisher and all his various clubs.
fun. Yeah,
It's the
great
best.
sequence.
It's probably one of my favorite scenes of the movie. That is so much fun. And then you got Oh Yoko by John Lennon, another needle drop at the end of in the middle of the movie. I believe that's kind of when Max kind of gets over his crush with oh my god, I'm forgetting her name, the teacher, and he kind of just realize is more comfortable with just being friends, and it's kind of like the three of them having more of a friendship than a kind of
Finally, kind of realizing.
uh-huh. Yes, yes, yes. And then at the very end, as the movie's wrapping up, all the characters are dancing on the dance floor because he just wrote him. We should say that he
Yeah,
like throughout the movie, he's kind of like is he a hit playwright? Is he trying to become a playwright? Because there's like he's working on plays throughout the whole movie.
I believe the implication is he's legitimately gifted at playwriting. Like he's not a great student. He's not an academic.
Right, because that's how he got accepted into the school. But he writes this hit play for his school. Big hit. Everyone loves it. Everyone's on the dance floor. The shot's pulling out, and then you get "Ooh La La" by Faces. And Caleb, I'd be lying if I said I didn't tear up a little bit. I'd be lying.
The line I love from that part is when he says, "Well, at least nobody got hurt," and she's like, "Well, you did," and he's like, "Yeah, but it's not that bad."
Oh, it broke my heart. Oh, also, another cool thing about this movie was that it was kind of his last, like, non ensemble cast. It's only, like, 3 main characters. which I thought was really cool.
Oh,
So you get a
yeah,
lot more time with
totally.
each one instead of having like 20 different people on the screen. So I thought that worked in its favor too, because you were able, and I don't know if, I mean, it feels like you're able to get more character development out of that. So I appreciate that. I appreciate just having a focus on 3 rather than more than that.
I hadn't thought about it, but you mentioning that, I would add that as a criticism to his like most recent stuff. There's too many people in it where it's like, oh my god, it's
Yeah, right.
exhausting. So I did appreciate in this that it was a
It
smaller
really wonder
story
it really makes you wonder how those movies aren't more expensive. It's
with all
insane.
the characters. Seriously,
Did you have a favorite scene in the movie, Caleb?
um, I have to think about favorite scenes. I mean, I love this sequence. It's an
Mm,
easy one, but when they're pulling the pranks or sabotages on each other,
so good.
that's another great needle drop you're mentioning. That might be my favorite in the movie. I still love that song, which I only know because of that movie.
Oh, it's The Who, yeah, that's awesome.
When your boyfriend's gone, something like that. When the boyfriend's away. One thing I noticed watching this time that I'd never noticed before, which is a really fun detail. There's a great joke at the beginning of the movie, or near the beginning, when he meets Bill Murray, and he goes, "Were you in Vietnam?" And Bill Murray's like, "Yep." And he
Was
goes,
I in
"Were
the
you in the
shit?
shit?" And he goes, "Yep."
Yeah,
And then the play at the end is all about Vietnam and the trenches and stuff. And I just had
right.
never realized he wrote the play for Bill Murray, and maybe it was like semi
It was
inspired,
dedicated to him.
dedicated. But I just like hadn't made that
Right.
connection with that quick line because that joke is hilarious. But and then Bill Murray crying at the end is another great joke where this little kid's play affected him so much. But then it's also that it was personal, like that was like based on somewhat his life, like even if it was just that one line of mentioning it. But Max wrote that just for
Right.
him, basically, which was a great little detail I had never quite fully appreciated. So last quick thing, I watched Banshees in a Sheeran soon before this, and they were weirdly a great double feature, or would make a great double feature. There was it reminded me that Max and Bill Murray's fight and kind of like frenemies reminded me a lot of Brendan Gleeson and Colin Farrell in Banshees. Of just these two guys who initially made this like great friendship and then just kind of just like ended up hating each other for no good reason, really, and go to
Would
war.
definitely recommend watching Rushmore last, so you're not, you don't have, like, a sense of dread
Yeah, finish
at
with
the pit of your
Rushmore, then
stomach.
before you go to bed or move on. Yeah,
2 things I loved, or 2 of my favorite, or one of my favorite scenes in the movie is still when Bill Murray is on the
yeah,
I believe he's on the phone with Max, and he's approaching these kids on a little play school basketball hoop, and one of the kids takes a shot, and he just blocks the shot. Do you remember that? He just jumped and
oh yeah, yeah,
genuinely, I don't remember having ever laughed as hard as, the first time I saw
yeah.
that.
That was so funny, dude.
Like, truly one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And then also there's a character named, Magnus Buchan, and he plays, like, kind of like the antagonist to Max. He's like
Okay,
a Scottish bully, but I loved him because I think this helps in terms of, like, world building, is just making your characters a little bit more distinct, and he has this thick Scottish accent for really no reason because the school takes place I think Houston, Texas. Huge Scottish accent. He has a cast, and then like half of his ear is bitten off. And I just kind of love little things like that because it just makes it feel more lived in. And I'm like, oh, that's great. And he has some of the best lines in the movie as well. Not only because he's has a thick accent, but just because they're very funny. And again, I think what it does for me, and again, it could be the same with his later movies. I feel like I just haven't watched a Wes Anderson movie, um, or any of his later ones in a while. Like the most recent ones are this and Bottle Rocket, his first two. But like the dialogue is so biting. There's just like I think I said this earlier, but like just a sense of nastiness, and I just kind of like that. I think it just helps the movie. It's not too cute, or I guess it is a little cute, but there's a good balance, a good mixture at least.
yeah, and it's like cute in the right way.
Mm.
Okay, my favorite scene I thought about is the drunk scene with Luke Wilson, where Max gets drunk and sassy after the
Oh my
play.
gosh.
He keeps telling everybody that he wrote a hit play.
Nice
What did you
nice
do?
nurses scrubs, guy. They're OR scrubs. Oh, are they? Very good. It's so funny, and also, it that is how you would that's how you would act as kind of as a raging hormonal teenager.
Insecure, yeah,
So funny.
immature, yeah,
Another one of my favorite scenes is early in the movie. So Bill Murray's character, Herman Bloom, he's like a multimillionaire. He owns like a metal plating company. His kids go to Rushmore. He donates money to the school. He's involved in the school.
yeah.
And at the beginning of the movie, he gives like a keynote speech, which genuinely I think is one of the most underrated speeches in well, movie history, frankly. Caleb, if you can insert that speech right over this, that would be great because I think everyone needs to hear it.
Thank you. You guys have it real easy. I never had it like this where I grew up. But I send my kids here because the fact is, you go to one of the best schools in the country, Rushmore. Now, for some of you, it doesn't matter. You were born rich and you're going to stay rich. But here's my advice to the rest of you. Take dead aim on the rich boys. Get them in the crosshairs and take them down. Just remember, they can buy anything, but they can't buy backbone. Don't let them forget that. Thank you.
And the cool thing about that speech, which is so funny, or not so funny, but just interesting, I'm scrolling through and I see that that speech was written by Owen Wilson's father.
What?
Yeah, and Owen
Interesting.
Wil yeah, Owen Wilson was interviewed in a magazine called the Happy Reader, and he says, "My dad would rail against inherited wealth. So when Wes and I were working on that, and we needed to have Bill Murray deliver a speech in the assembly, we asked my dad, and he wrote the whole speech." I thought that was so interesting,
Dude,
and it's
that's
a great
awesome.
speech. It's so
That's
good.
so funny.
I hope that's true. I didn't actually do any delving into fact check, but I'd like to believe that it's true.
It's true enough.
Okay, but speaking of soundtracks or needle drops, the very end of the movie,
Mhm.
it does feel very on the nose, but it works so hard, and I think that's because of the nostalgia pull that you and I were talking about. So, end of the
Yeah,
movie, "Ooh La La" by Faces comes on, and Caleb, I started tearing up a little bit. Yeah,
you
yeah, it got
gotcha.
me because I'll say it again, strong filled with a strong sense of nostalgia, it filled me to the brim.
Sure.
And that's not just because I was head of the Beekeepers Association at Glendora High School. Go Tartans. But I wrote that down. I thought that was funny and I wrote that down. But I think that I think I really missed high school for watching this movie, which is kind of pathetic to say, but I think the forced socializing that you have to go through in high school was something I
Mhm.
actually enjoyed and I really looked forward to. So I don't know why, but I think I was just like, after watching it, I was like, man, dare I say it? Those were the good old days. I
No.
know it's so embarrassing. It was so embarrassing, but I was just like, dang, like, man, what a time it was just to like be able to see all your friends and hang out. And I think now, I guess this is what happens when you hit 30. You're just like the number of friends you have just turns into one, and then you have to make a podcast with them. Um, but but man, it really worked on me. I again after I guess after watching, I was like, dang, yeah, I just
Felt it.
I guess say what you will about Wes, but man, he this is a great movie. I love this movie.
I agree, man. It definitely. I don't know if I got the high school feeling. I don't know what it. There's definitely a nostalgia.
For sure. Would you recommend this movie, Caleb?
Oh, for sure, for sure. If you've never seen it, definitely. If you like modern Wes Anderson, it's worth revisiting. If you hate modern Wes Anderson, it's worth revisiting to see, where he came from.
Yeah, I would recommend it as well.
Did you enjoy it again? I mean, I know you did, but yeah,
Oh, I
you would.
absolutely loved it. Yeah, it was really fun to rewatch. But yeah, Caleb, I think I want to do something now that we didn't do on last episode, but I kind of want to have a we need I want to include more letterboxed spins to the pod because this is kind of this is
Okay,
a non-letterbox sponsored letterbox podcast, is it not?
correct.
Correct. So I'm gonna read some reviews from the members of
I'd
Letterboxd.
love that.
How does that sound?
Yeah, that'd be great. Shout out.
So I'm gonna read a couple reviews. We're gonna start with some good, then we're gonna end with some bad. How does that sound? Okay.
Perfect.
This first review comes from user Tub Tim. They gave it 5 stars.
Cool.
They liked it, which you get a little heart next to the rating, and they also rewatched it.
Okay.
And Tub Tim says, Wes Anderson never disappoints me. This movie is very lovely. It's another Wes Anderson movie that I'm very impressed with. Cat emoji with hearts in the eyes. And that was from Tub Tim. I would agree with that.
All right.
Caleb, they say Wes Anderson never disappoints them.
I was gonna say that's a bit strong for me, but I respect the if you like it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that take.
Right. Another 5-star review from Gariscus. Absolutely love this film. Lighthearted and comedic throughout. All around good vibes. Every line out of the main character's mouth made me crack up. I wish I had his confidence, even if it did tend to get him into trouble. The soundtrack was great as well and worked perfectly with the montages. Love the clothing aesthetic as well. The blazers and glasses combo worked so well. I agree with this review, Caleb. I mean, the soundtrack was great. Absolutely loved it. I love blazers.
Come on the show.
Yeah,
That would have
Gariscus,
been
come on. And then finally, I'm gonna end this good review with Hera. That's 5 A's and 5-star review. And they say, such fun seeing this at the cinema with my mother. I liked the bit where she grinned at me when Brian Cox was first on screen. We didn't mention Brian Cox was in this movie. If you're a big Succession head, Brian Cox plays the principal, I guess, of this movie. He's very funny. He's a great character.
yeah, he's pretty hilarious in this. Yeah.
Him and Max have like a butting heads relationship, but their scenes are great together. So those were some good reviews, Caleb. But what about some bad reviews?
I'm excited for these. I'm curious.
Not everyone liked this movie, and on Letterboxd, you can go as high as 5 stars, and you can go as low as a half star. Caleb, would you believe that some people
There's no star.
there's no star, but there is half stars, and why don't I read a few?
This got half
This got half
stars.
stars. Some people, like I'm saying, Wes Anderson might
Unbelievable.
have that effect on people. And this first half-star review comes from user Lobster Goober. And they say, I don't know why I just don't see what everyone sees in this movie. It was boring. Caleb, what do you think about this review? Was it boring to you?
That's it. He doesn't elaborate.
They thought it was boring.
Well, I have a review for this review. Boring.
Hey. Okay, well, we're not here to attack. These are our people.
Gator Buddy, boring.
These are our people.
I'm
Okay.
attacking.
So they didn't like
Are they your friends? Are these actual people you know?
No, I don't know any of them.
Okay, good.
I'm just reading the reviews. Stinzy Linson also gives us a half-star review, and they say, "Wowzers, did I hate this? I'm sorry, I just don't get Wes. I really try to find what others see in it, and I think sometimes maybe I see glimmers, but mostly instead these movies just fill me with rage and frustration, and in this case, secondhand embarrassment." Oh my god. Rage and frustration for Rushmore. But there's still more to this review. They say, I know this style of movie works for a lot of people. I am not one of those people. But good for Wes Anderson. But good for Wes Anderson. Sorry, but good for Wes Anderson for so distinctly finding his voice. It's a little bit of a compliment at the end there. That's nice. And
Yeah.
I have two final ones of half-star reviews just because 'cause they're short and sweet. One, this is by user M, just the letter M, half star, and they write, "I really didn't care." And then
Right.
finally, with a half star from username Gucci, and they say, "Literal balls." So there you have it, you get one side of the coin and the other. Is that a saying? I don't know.
Who's awesome?
Oh.
Oh, yes.
Caleb, should we just end it? Should we just end it? Do you even wanna do news?
I honestly think
I'm getting so
I'm like
I'm
crashing a
crashing.
little
Okay,
bit. I'm
let's end
trying
it.
so
Let's end
hard
it.
not to. Okay, cool. This was a long one. We did a lot longer today because we're just still trying things out.
Guys,
And so we're just still learning and testing things out. This is episode 2. We probably seemed so good in episode 1 that hopefully this wasn't a disappointment.
look, we're Caleb
Uh,
and I this
yeah.
podcast is a work in progress. We appreciate you guys listening, like sincerely. I really do. Yeah, I appreciate all the feedback and everyone that took time out of their days to listen. Very kind of you. If you want to reach out to us, you can. You can email us at logit another movie podcast at gmail.com if you have any movie recommendations. Heck, if you want to come on the pod, Caleb, this is something that we've talked about. We would like to have, a more in-depth conversation with a third person or a fourth person. If there's a movie you want to talk about that you have very strong reaction, strong feelings to, yeah, hit us up at that email, reach out, and yeah, you can follow us on Letterboxd. We are logit_pod, I believe. Caleb, is that right? It is. It's logit_podcast. Excuse me, logit_podcast.
And I think Instagram is
Instagram is.
logit_pod.
I think you're correct on that, my dear boy. Yes. So we are logit_podcast on Letterboxd, and we are logit_pod on Instagram. So follow us there. And yeah, reach out and genuinely would love any feedback. Nothing too rude or harsh. Um, but again, this is our second episode. We're having fun with it. Kids gloves. Yeah. And yeah, Caleb, do we have a movie that we want to talk about for next week? Because I don't know if we do.
What would you think about Us?
Oh, the Jordan. I haven't seen it yet. That's great.
Okay, perfect. Okay, cool. That's a fun one. All right, cool.
Great pick, Caleb. I saw Get Out, loved it, and I saw Nope, but I have not seen Us. So this is very exciting. I'm excited to get in. Well, Caleb, I think it's time for us to say goodbye to everyone.
That was a great episode. I had a lot of fun. I really enjoyed episode 2.
Yeah, 2. Crazy, huh? Alrighty.
This is great. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on this second ride of ours. Please join us next week. We'll be discussing the Jordan Peele film Us and whatever else lands in our last 4. Ian, anything you'd like to add before we go?
Go watch a movie.
And join us next week for another great episode.
I love it. Goodbye, everybody.